In this video, we will talk about healthy versus unhealthy or toxic relationships. And why we're doing that is because not all of us have any experience of healthy relationships. So it's difficult to know what they look like, how they're supposed to feel, or how we can even start to get there, because we need to bring awareness to why we are attracting the same type of persons all the time. So with that, I would like to lift your gaze, because in toxic relationships, we are only able to entertain our short-term pain, so to say. We are focusing on short-term fixes instead of focusing on a long-term solution. The long-term solution is to attract a healthy relationship, because essentially that is what we want, but we are so focused on solving and soothing the pain we are experiencing on a daily basis that becomes our focus, and that prevents us from having a healthy relationship, because we can't lift our gaze. We need to see beyond the horizon. So the goal of this challenge, the 5x5 challenge, is to move on from engaging and attracting toxic relationships to attracting a healthy relationship. Before we start, I want to emphasize why things are happening, why your brain is continuously choosing the same type of person for you and the same type of relationship. So your brain it's not designed to keep you happy. We would think that that's part of our brain's job, but it's not. The job of our brain is to keep us safe. So that's why we stick to these old patterns and behaviors that are not serving us any good. So what does it mean with keeping us safe? What does it mean? Well, safe, it's equivalent to familiar. So when your brain recognizes something that is familiar to them, that means that it feels safe. And to be fair, you're here now, you are alive, so it has kind of done its job. I mean, it has kept you safe, but it doesn't keep you happy. So you are subconsciously attracted to unhealthy relationships because somewhere, probably in your childhood, you have been conditioned to believe that this is safe. This is how it should look like. And that is why your brain is focusing on those traits subconsciously and pulling you to toxic relationships. So how does a toxic relationship look like? I'm sure you know very well. That's why you're here. But I'm going to cherry pick some of these traits and go through them. And you can just pause and read through them if you want to go through them alone. But if I go through everything, it would just take forever. So I'm going to focus on the ones marked in bold. So the feeling of constantly having to chase for love, affection, and validation is a common trait of a toxic relationship. We feel like we are chasing and giving and giving. And the reason we're giving so much of our gifts is what I like to call them, and that's time, energy, whatever you are giving. We are giving that because we believe that we will receive it back from our partner. But that's not how the equation goes. You will not automatically get what you are giving, especially not if you are in a relationship with a narcissist. Another typical trait is that you wouldn't have any real hobbies outside of your relationship. And this is from your perspective, not the narcissist. So everything that I've written here is from your perspective. So you might recognize that you're not passionate about many things outside of your relationship. You don't have many hobbies outside of your relationship. Your main focus is your partner. And when you're in a toxic relationship, it's difficult to focus on other things, because the person we are spending our time with, they are often craving so much attention, and they're craving for us to make them the number one priority. So it makes it difficult, and we focus on the relationship. Constantly living in fear of being abandoned. This is something that we have with us from our childhood. This is a trauma that we are carrying from our childhood, and we fear being abandoned is the worst thing that can happen to us. And this was a true fear when we were kids. So we adapted coping mechanisms and strategies to not be abandoned. And our brain is telling us to do the same thing again with the same type of person, of course, with the similar traits as our caretakers. And that is why we are constantly feeling hurt, and we feel like we need to soothe our pain because it's triggering our memories and feelings and fear of being abandoned. You might recall numerous attempts to convince your partner, you're staying because of this, to convince your partner how much they're hurting you emotionally, and you truly believe that if you can find a way to make them understand how much you are suffering, they will just stop what they are doing because they now understand and they will stop do that. But that's not how it works, unfortunately. They are doing what they're doing for a reason. But that doesn't prevent you from trying, of course. So toxic relationship, how does it feel like? Well, it triggers feelings of attachment, anxiety, and control. That's the main feelings of a toxic relationship, and it's very common to confuse the feelings of attachment with love because we are experiencing trauma with someone that connects us emotionally to our toxic partner, and we feel and think that this is what love feels like, when it's rather attachment that we're feeling. So diving into a healthy relationship, how does that look like? And I'm sorry for splitting the screen like this. I couldn't find a place to put the video, so it became a bit split up. So the foundation of a healthy relationship is trust, and what's good about the healthy relationship is that the fear of being abandoned is not a guest that is constantly knocking on the door. If you have trust as a foundation, you will not get triggered on a daily basis and think that your partner is going to leave you. Your thought, behaviors, and triggers that signal to you that your brain is signaling to you that you are in fear, you are going to be abandoned. That's not happening in a healthy relationship. You are safe. You have a solid foundation, and there is no fear on a daily basis. I mean, you will probably have the triggers now and then, but as you become aware, they will even out and they will stop disappearing as well. Another thing about the healthy relationship is that you have mutual respect for each other, and that you have your own life, your own hobbies, and your own activities, and that you support each other with your own life and activities, because it's not a threat to the relationship. Just because you have a hobby and your partner does a hobby, it doesn't mean you have to do it together. Some people enjoy to have joint activities, but it's fine to have your own passion, and you should have your own life as well, because if you have your own life and he has his own life, you will meet and you will be able to share your passions with each other. If it will ignite a spark in the relationship, and you can share experiences with each other. And the main essence of this is it's not a threat to the relationship that you do have your own separate activities. It's not a threat. Like in a toxic relationship, it's often seen as a threat if one or the other has their own passion or hobby, so to say. But in a healthy relationship, it's not a threat. That's how you grow. You support each other. And in a healthy relationship, you can focus on how you can grow as a person, and being able to figure out your own focus in life, your own goals in life, your own purpose. You're not here for the sake of someone else. You're here for yourself. You have a reason, you have a purpose to be here. But if you are constantly focusing on a toxic relationship and how to fix that relationship, that is going to be your main focus. But your main focus should be you, and you can do that in a healthy relationship. You can focus on yourself. At the same time, in parallel, you can focus on growing the relationship as well. So a healthy relationship triggers feelings of passion, commitment, admiration. You will be able to grow together. I'm not saying you won't have fights, but you will be able to meet, discuss, agree, and come together. So that's how a healthy relationship looks like. So now we are going to move to the task of this challenge. So you're going to create a wish list. That's what I call it. And that is for you to write down every single thing that you want from your perfect relationship. So I want you to think about this in details if you can. It's not going to be one sentence, and you do have I've attached a PDF that you can use for this specific exercise. So I want you to think about details, and there's not going to be in this one, there's not going to be the don't wants, because you want to focus on the wants. You already know what you don't want. There's no need to focus on that. Just what you want. So think about maybe you can think about how do you want your person to look like? How do you want them to treat you if you're at a restaurant, for example? If he's pulling out do you want him to pull out the chair for you? Well, write that down. I want my man to be a gentleman and to pull out the chair for me. And with every item that you write on the list, I want you to write, how would that make you feel? So I want you to connect the feeling together. So this is like it's called the brain-heart coherent connection. So you're going to connect your brain and your heart together with this. And I've heard some people don't want to do this exercise because of the fear of making the wish list as a requirements list. That is not the purpose you're doing this list. The purpose is, I'm going to tell you now, it's because when you're making goals, when you're writing down your goals, you're activating the reticular activating system in your brain. We call it RAS. We're going to call it RAS from now on, RAS. What does the reticular activating system do? Well, it helps your senses to filter out what's important to you. So it helps your brain to filter out what's important from all of the senses that you are using. So it helps you to filter out what's important, because it's impossible for us as human beings to experience everything that is happening around us with all of our senses. We might think that we are actually experiencing everything, but we're not. Our brain is choosing for us what we are consuming, or so to say, what's really landing inside of us, what we are experiencing. So when you make a list of your goals, you will tell your reticular activating system, this is important for me. And when you see this, I want you to notice that it's happening. So you are basically helping your future to see, your future brain, you're helping your brain to see opportunities, because you will be conditioned to notice them. They will not go by unnoticed. So to make this a bit more clear, for example, let's say that you are going to buy a red car. You are purchasing a red car, and all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere, and you think to yourself, how is this possible? How can I see so many red cars? This is like a message from the universe. But in reality, this is how your RAS acts. Your RAS has told you to focus on red cars, and that's why you notice them. And that's the reason, that's the purpose why you're creating this wish list as well. You are activating your brain to not let the things that are important to you go by unnoticed. So that was it for this challenge. And if you do have any questions specifically about this task, please reach out, write a comment, under this video, send me a message. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to help you. I will see you in the next day's challenge. Good luck with this exercise, and I will see you. Bye bye.